Hey, you guys, I always like to give everybody kind of a minute till we get started, but I'll do some housekeeping first. Um, Welcome to our Poker Insider space. We're excited that you're here with us this evening and just want to remind everyone that we do record our shows. And if you missed someone that we've had on previously, you can check our Twitter accounts and find the recordings there. Last week's recording will be of Amanda Botfeld. We've also had like Robert Turner, Veronica Brill, Dutch Boyd, Rigby, excuse me, Nicholas Rigby, Dara O'Kearney, and Barry Levy are some of our former guests. So you can find those recordings on our Twitter accounts. Now for a word about our sponsor, Elevator Results, whose purpose is to provide a service to help people reach their desired fitness goals, whether it be to gain weight, to lose weight, or to help improve your sports and performance. Elevator Results can help you reach your goals. I'm just going to touch base a little bit about our guest this evening. Chris is from Peachtree City, Georgia, which is about 5 minutes from where I live. And it's funny that I've never met him until the poker world. So that is a small world, isn't it? Chris attended FSU, majoring in hospitality and being a Seminole fan, the poor thing. Chris has a live earnings over 1.5 million. His best live cash was over 143,000 for his first place finish in the WPT main event at Best Bet in 2011. Chris is a Run Good ambassador, and our guest has 3 WSOP rings, 49 WSOP caches, and 140 circuit caches. For some reason, I thought you've gotten your 4th ring, and maybe you could correct me on that, Chris. Please help welcome Biloxi Bomber, as we know him in the spaces, aka Chris Conrad, to our Poker Insider space.
Hey, thank you.
You are quite welcome. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, buddy, how
Good,
you
how are
doing?
you?
Great. So tell us. I got to hear about this prop bet. What the heck happened?
AJ Kessel, you know who he is?
Yeah.
So we've been, after Florida State days, I moved to Tampa and he lived in Tampa. And we always grinded, tournaments, that kind of stuff together. We've always had a pretty good prop bet relationship. We challenge each other at a poker series, but, do heads up kind of things. And then, he's a big Eagles fan. I've been pretty split between a Dolphins and Falcons fans over the years, and being a Dolphins fan has just been painful with no quarterback. So I've leaned more on the Falcons, and then the Falcons and Eagles play each other. So we've always had a prop bet of whatever team won that year, the other person had to buy a hoodie of the other team and have to wear it, and then the winner of the bet would get the hoodie afterwards and that kind of thing. And so my first final table of a WSOP tournament happened to be the tournament we agreed that I would wear the hoodie in, and so in that picture, I decided I was not going to wear just an Eagles hoodie, that I was going to put on a Falcons hat to go with it at the final table. So
I love it.
They're like, this guy is seriously
Yeah.
confused.
Well, and the thing about the bet is we never specified whether I had to wear it just for day 1, day 2, or day 3. And I just felt like being a good sport, and I just wore it for all 3 days.
Good for
All right.
you.
So this week, Florida State has Clemson.
Yeah.
And what do you think the score is going to be on that one?
I hate being a gambler and understanding things, and it doesn't feel good.
No,
it doesn't feel good.
You're not supposed to say that.
Well,
they trashed on the Clemson fans trashed on my guy DJ Ugalele, however you say his name, all last year. Killed his confidence, and now he's out at Oregon State. So I'm on their message boards every week, reminding them of how good he's doing out there. because they think Cade Klubnik is going to be their guy.
Yeah, they
I
don't
don't
have a quarterback, which is good for us. Like if I like analyze the game, Florida State's offense is probably the best offense in the country. Our defense, the front,
know.
our defensive line, it competes with anyone else out there. But our secondary is what scares me, and that's mobile quarterbacks are the ones that we struggle against. But we beat the shit out of LSU. Um,
I was just going to bring that up because I know you were at that game. How exciting was that
oh,
game?
that game was great. I went to that game. Um, During the game, I got probably 30 text messages from people asking me if I was still with my wife because my wife, she's a Eastern European, not a big American football fan. So instead of
Right.
bringing her with my parents, I brought Sammy, one of our run good, like she helps with
Yeah.
run good and stuff. She goes to Florida State.
Yeah.
So I told her at some point I was going to take her to a game, and that ended up being the game we took her to. So it was,
Oh, and so people thought you and Kat were no longer
yeah, because I
together.
would take a selfie with Sammy and stuff. She,
Oh, no.
and me and Jamie Cursor always have a running joke that we're Sammy's parents or whatever. There was a time where Jordan Christos was hitting on her on Twitter, and I told him to back off. That's my daughter, and he
Oh,
he
that's
responded. He's
hilarious.
like, "Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry," and I think he thinks I was serious till this day.
well, I didn't think anything of that picture because I know Sammy is an FSU gal, and of course I know you are. So I didn't give a second thought of that picture, but that's funny that others
Yeah,
did.
it's weird how people are so judgmental, and when you're in a good relationship, you sort of you let the other one do what they want to do, and
Of
you don't really
course.
second guess anything.
Of course, it's called
Yeah,
trust. And if you can't trust your partner, you're with the wrong one,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
I,
And
I I always think it's funny when my friends I want to go somewhere and I say, hey, let's go to. Usually, I let my wife know when we're on like on the like way onto the plane or something. Hey, I'm headed to Vegas or whatever. My friends are. I have friends that I say, hey, do you want to go? And they go, I got to ask my wife, and I'm like, okay, yes.
yeah,
I
I've
mean,
never had to live that way either, but there are plenty of folks out there that do. That's for sure. Now, I have a question for you, Chris. I know you do some coaching in the world of poker. Tell us what you offer in the way of coaching.
I don't know. It's a tricky thing what I offer. I don't I don't want to say I'm lazy, but I choose not to necessarily I've been staking some people. So most of my coaching involves the people that I have money invested where so it doesn't I don't know what a fair hourly for me to coach someone. I've thought about it with my wife and a couple of the kids that I stake about opening up a coaching thing where we were actually thinking about targeting the females. And I don't think there's like a set group out there, but we would
I like
our
it.
idea of doing something. It just I don't know if the time's worth the money and everything. Like I think the more coaching and the more getting people better at poker is just I'm not going to be able to make money playing poker the rest of my life if people just keep getting better. Like it just the rake keeps going up, and as the rake goes up, and the players go up, it's just the bottom line gets smaller for professional players, and that's why you'll see me. That's why right now I'm in Atlantic City. I'm more of an online grinder. I'll go to Cherokee every stop because Cherokee's just beautiful and big fields, and but
Right.
I almost actually flew out to go play one of the Poker Master tournaments. My horses, we study probably 30, 40 hours a week. And they're like, why don't you just go out and play the Poker Masters? And I was like, I don't have an ego. I don't want to go out there and try to be the best in the world or anything like that. I care about making money and doing that kind of thing. But getting sick and tired of people just posting, all their good things, not being really truthful with all their results and stuff. Someone posts, oh, I won this tournament, but at the end of the day, they might break even for that stop or something like that. And I don't know. It's
Right.
free advertisement for some of these companies I don't really believe in, and they're they're all about business and not so much the growth of the game of poker.
I agree. I totally agree. Tell us, I kind of outlined your live cash, what they have on the mob for you. What is your, like a ballpark figure as to your winnings online?
It's much greater than the live side. Um, I would say in short answer, I've been in Atlantic City for probably a week and a half now, and I'm up probably in the ballpark of 25,000. Like you just get to play so many more
Nice.
tournaments, and all the tournaments you win online, people don't hear about it, and I sort of prefer that. I don't. I'm not a. I grew up playing sports and had a big ego with all that kind of stuff, but like poker to me is just business, and it's about making money, providing for the family, doing that kind of stuff. And how many live tournaments, I've taken second or third place, but taken first place money, not that wasn't recorded. People willing to pay
Right.
$20,000 for a circuit ring. I'll put this statement out there for anyone who hasn't heard this from me before. If we get heads up in a tournament, I don't care if I have the chip lead, you have the chip lead. If you want the ring and you're gonna give me first place money and sign for it, I'm your sucker.
I'll remember that.
I'm your sucker.
I made a mental note of that.
Does that go for World Series
Absolutely.
bracelets too? All right, all right, all right. We
I
might have
like
a
it.
deal
Yeah.
there.
I think
How
we
about
need
a
more
ring?
people in the poker world with that attitude. I think it goes a far, far way. And I know you personally, so I know you have your priorities in good order. You do a lot with your family, not only your beautiful wife, who I call friend, but you do a lot with your siblings and your mom and dad, and you travel, and it's awesome. And I see that it's a very balanced life. And have you always been that way, or have you just come into that in like the last 5 or 10 years?
No, I would say I was a pretty blessed kid. I don't want to say necessarily spoiled because I understood how well I was when I was younger. I think maybe when I was like 8 to 12, we would go to Maui for a week, once a year or whatever. And then
Right.
my parents didn't learn about cruises, but got into cruises probably around 12 when we stopped going to Hawaii. We'd start doing, one cruise a year that turned into like maybe two cruises a year. And then, yeah, we just always been a traveling family. And I think that sort of helped me develop to who I am and stuff. Like traveling and playing poker has been just part of my life. Like, the great thing about poker is you could choose where you go play. You could choose who you're paying the rate to. You could go to an amazing city. Like that's what a lot of the poker players I think do incorrectly is you need to go explore the history of these towns and that kind of stuff. Like I'm not the biggest one into all the history and seeing all the museums and all that stuff, but I'll go out there and when I was in Portugal or Barcelona or whatever, you go and see all the cathedrals and all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff to me, it doesn't hit me like it hits some other people, to say the least. But I just think like you got to experience the culture. For me, the culture I like to
I
experience is the food.
I totally agree, and I always made it a habit, as you know, because you've met my daughter Natalie. Um, when we traveled with her sport, I always made it a point that we went to eat at a local place and not a chain, and we always did something in that town that had to do with that town, whether it be, like, for instance, in Memphis, we went to Graceland. In New York, we went to Ground Zero. And I think it's part of the journey. And that's, to me, more important than the sport itself. The sport itself, in this case, is poker, but I think it applies. Like, we get into what I call the back cave, the card room or the casino. And, when you come out of the back cave, you can barely keep your eyes open because the sun is so bright, and that's why I called it the back cave. And we just have to have that balance. I think that's how you survive in this sport, so to speak, is the balance. What would you give as one or two um, maybe pieces of advice for the rec player as far as a leak that they could fix, Chris?
A leak that they could fix. I think
Yeah, like what's a
I
common leak,
I
you
think a
think?
big tendency right now that I think recreationals are figuring out, and I think they figure out tendencies of what professionals do more. Like we'll say defend the big blind pretty wide. Like defending the big blind pretty wide. If you're defending the big blind correctly, like you should be calling with almost any suited cards when it's a heads up pot. But the problem for a recreational player and even a lot of average professionals, they don't have enough bluffs out of the big blind on flops. Like there should be a lot of check raise bluffing. And if you don't feel like you're, check raise bluffing a lot, you should probably defend the big blind less. Just to, there has to be a balance and to all that kind of stuff.
I think that's great advice.
There's a lot of different things. At the end of the day, just pay more attention. Don't be on your phone. That's the biggest advice for live poker. That's the problem. I think recreationals, professionals, pay attention to the people. People tell you what they have. They just pay attention to what's going on.
I get yelled at that for all the time because I'm never on my phone and people are trying to locate me. And they're like, I've been texting you for an hour. I'm like, I'm at a poker table. I'm not on my phone. Sorry. So that's just the way it goes, people. You're not going to be able to text with me while I'm playing poker. If it's an emergency, call the main number and have them page me.
I was I was doing some coaching this summer with somebody, and they told me, "Put your damn phone away." And every time I was at the table for the rest of the summer, I was worried they'd catch me. So I left my phone in my pocket because I was like, "Man, I don't want to get yelled
I'll tell you
at."
one of the best bets you can make with someone. If you go out for the World Series, I mean, even if it's for a week, find a friend that you both want to do well. All right, $500 if you get on your phone while you're playing or something. You'd come up with whatever monetary thing you want. Doesn't it could be you
Right.
have to buy a dinner the first person who gets on their phone, but I promise you'll see things you don't see because you're not paying attention. Like
Sure.
you watch like someone's bet size, and if you get to see what they have on the hand, maybe they don't bet so big when they're bluffing. Maybe they bet smaller when they're bluffing. I mean, you don't know different things. It's not just about a live read of looking what someone does. I mean, people put in chips with different motions. They check differently. They verbalize. There's so many things to the game, and if you're not paying attention, like the big thing about live poker, the reason you have the chances and Foxens, the guys that just absolutely crush is they're just so good at paying attention. They they look intimidating at the table, and it's not that they're intimidating. They're just staring you down, watching everything you do. They're not trying to get in your head. They're literally just studying you.
And you
I,
know
I,
what's so funny when I do that? Because I'm very attentive at the table, is it's amazing how uncomfortable people get when you are one of those people that are staring and observing, right? Even when you're not in the hand. And it's amazing how uncomfortable that makes some people.
the, listening to Chance, though, you mentioned, um, I had the opportunity one time to just stand behind him as we were railing a final table, and it was just shocking to me the things that he could observe, and stuff like it's just like you don't even. I probably would not want to make a move, like blink wrong or anything. Like the guy just is so focused in on that, like it's crazy.
It's people like Chance that you have those high roller people that are wearing the hoodies and the face mask and the sunglasses cover
Yeah,
up, and until poker makes a rule against it, I don't look down on any of those people. I mean, if I'm giving off some kind of tell, like I don't wear sunglasses often at a table, but there's days like sometimes my eyes are a little dry or something, and I put sunglasses on. I just don't want, someone to look at me blinking or doing something abnormal and, make decision off that, get in some weird situations.
I'm going to introduce Donna, who's a big space fanatic like the rest of us. I know you've heard and been around her. So go ahead, Donna. You have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. Hi, how are
Good,
you?
Donna. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What got you first started into poker?
Uh, to be honest, it was like just I grew up playing. I was a big soccer player, and when we'd get done with practices or whatever, a bunch of us would go over to the house and poker. This is back in 2003. This is like sort of right before the moneymaker effect came in, and I played with a bunch of my sports friends and did that. And then after the moneymaker thing, there was a bunch of the sites when poker was legal online in the US, and I'd just play all these free rolls as a, 16-year-old. I would, just lie about my age and play on, I remember Round Table Poker, Paradise Poker, all these sites, and they'd have these $25, $50 free rolls. And when you're just a young kid or whatever, having a chance to win $50 when your parents don't necessarily give you money for an allowance or anything, that $50 was cool. And then I remember running it up to a couple $100, and then you have the problem of having to show them an ID to cash out and do all this kind of stuff, and that's where the issues came in. But like going to college, I started playing with my dorm mates. We'd play like I think it was like a 10-20 cent, just a little cash game, maybe once or twice a week. Then I joined a fraternity and we'd play a couple times. And I started learning that I was just better than people at it. And this is like without any studying or anything like that. And then I got pretty blessed at Florida State, and I met Leaf Force, who had some early results, whatever, before everyone was doing all the studying. And then the person that really just changed my life for poker was Marty Mathis. And he lived with me for his last 2 years in college, and he was staked by Doug Polk at the time, and just getting all the free info from him, and he had me grinding the sit and goes and just understanding things. And I went to Biloxi with like a tax return from bartending and went there with $2,000 and left there a week and a half later with like just under 200,000, and told the parents that we were dropping out of school and trying to take on poker, and we sort of never turned around from that.
So what did your
Amazing.
mum and dad say about you dropping out for poker
They
then?
they hated it.
Because
They
I know
hated
a
it
lot
for
of
the longest
people,
time. But now my
yeah,
parents are my biggest supporters now. They'll come out every now and again to, especially like Cherokee. They'll come up there maybe like once a year. Vegas, they come maybe every other year. They enjoy coming to the different places I go play poker, because they know they want to go to Vegas when I'm in Vegas, because they know I know almost everything about Vegas. We'll go to all the nice restaurants, we'll go do all these tourist things, and they enjoy themselves. We'll go do some hikes, not just the poker room.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Go ahead, Donna.
yeah, I know parents have a big misconception of poker as gambling, but also a lot of people make a career out of it. Do you ever see yourself, or have you ever done any coaching?
Yeah, like I have people I get numerous people reaching out to me to do coaching, and like the biggest thing for coaching is, you got to think of how much I make when I play, how much money I make an hour playing. I had a coach that I worked with about 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago. It was during COVID, and he charged $75 an hour. He's the best coach I've ever had in my life, and he got to a point where he couldn't charge $75. Like, he's making $180 an hour playing online. So why would you charge, such a small amount to do that? And that's sort of where I'm at. Like, I'm such a busy person now. I work for, I'm an agent for GG Poker, and I have 1,000 players that I'm helping move money on and off the site, and I make good money doing this, but it's time consuming. And then when I have extra time, I usually tend to study myself and play poker. I probably play 50 hours a week online. Like, I just love it. And it's not that I'm against coaching. It's I just don't have necessarily the free time that I could do it. And
And it's just not worth it for
yeah,
you.
just I don't know what would be a fair price. I have like 3 people that are constantly hitting me up and constantly want to do it. And I haven't said no to them. I just haven't said, okay, we're going to do it this. I just, I don't know.
Not enough hours in the day.
There really isn't. And
I hear you. I
the
hear you.
the thing
So,
about
what?
coaching is it's beneficial for me too. Like, that's what I think. I don't think most coaches realize. I mean, I think a lot of the smart coaches realize coaching and working with other people, hearing how other people's minds work, and all that kind of stuff's just incredible, and it really helps you understand different situations at a poker table, and you could see how someone else thinks of a situation. And so
Right.
it's nothing me against coaching. It's something that I think I will fall and do at some point. It just hasn't. I don't think I could be the person that's in charge of like a site to do it, because I need someone that's gonna be like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. You give me your hours and I'll set everything up. I need that guidance
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And honestly, is it worth it for you? Does it fit? Is it a puzzle piece for your life? I'm not sure it is,
Yeah,
Lewis.
no, that's really
Uh,
it. I say everything about poker is about money and stuff, but money is not the happiness and that kind of thing where I care more about enjoying life. And there's just certain hours, you put so much hours in, and you got to have other hours of separation. Me and the wife, we play a lot of games and stuff. That's like our break from poker. Like, when like right now I'm here in Atlantic City and we start playing around 7 p.m. and some nights we don't get done till 3, 5 o'clock in the morning playing these bracelet and circuit events on WSOP. There's all these different series going on these regulated sites here. And when you're
right.
done playing poker, like when I'm playing poker, I'm wired and I'm not going to sleep for a good hour or two afterwards. So whether I play some chess or play some video games, watch watch something on TV, like those are the hours that are usually my best times. And then sleep's important too. I gotta find sleep time.
Right. And some people will say you'll sleep when you're dead, but you're going to kill yourself if you don't get some sleep.
Yeah,
Right. So
I
there
joke about
has to
that.
be
My
some
my wife needs
balance.
the sleep. I don't need the sleep. I could run off 4 or 5 hours. She needs 8 hours. She doesn't get 8 hours. Good luck.
I'm not going to tell her you said that.
She knows it.
Um,
She
all
knows
over.
it. It's not. I one of we
Go
got a
ahead.
house with like 2 of my horses here in Atlantic City, and one of their girlfriends came in town, so we decided to take today off or whatever, and we just did like Nobu steakhouse or Nobu whatever and all that good stuff. But Kat was supposed to be awake at 3 p.m. We didn't go to bed till about 7 a.m. But
Right.
she was supposed to be up at 3. I went and took them to brunch. We did that at like 2:30. We come back at 3:35. She's still, and then she tells us 30 minutes she'll be ready. 30 minutes female time. An hour and a half later, we were heading out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the life of marriage. It's a good thing you're
Oh
flexible.
yeah.
All right. I know that you're involved with the Run Good series and you guys are doing great things with that. St. Louis, Tulsa, Granton, Kansas City, Cleveland, Tunica. Where are you going? Are you going to all of them or are you just picking a
I
few?
I just finished at Baltimore. I sort of try to Tana and Run Good pretty good about being open to the ambassadors of choosing which ones we want to go to or which ones are convenient for us. And to
Right.
me, I used to always go to Tunica, but my wife has written off Tunica. We can't go there until they increase their food options. So unfortunately, Tunica poker is out of our resume for a little while. But
Tunica's a rough
Yeah,
one.
the good news about Tunica is Cherokee tribe has bought in most of the area, so hopefully they will add some restaurants and build some good things there. So that's
Right.
I hope in the next 5 years that will do, because Tunica, before most people was really into poker, Tunica was like almost the capital of poker. It was the biggest PLO games back in the day.
Absolutely.
Like if you go and look at the Tunica Hidden Mob and see the biggest winners, you're going to see Daniel Negreanu, Phil Ivey, all the big name players, because they used to have these 10Ks and 5Ks that were running a couple times a year.
And let me tell you, the folks that have never been to Tunica, there's casinos just in the middle of like grassy fields. I mean, it's literally out in the middle of no man's land, and there's nothing around them. So you have to stay within those little casinos, um, or there's nothing. And his wife Kat's absolutely right. The food choices suck there. Um, but hopefully now that they're been bought out, hopefully they're going to make some
And don't forget
changes.
about the state bird being the mosquito.
Well, it certainly is because you're in the swamps. You're in the
Yeah.
swamps.
But going back to
And
Run
I
Good,
love going to tuna.
I,
Yeah,
I,
go
I was
ahead,
gonna
bud.
say, going back to Run Good, like my next stop that I'm planning, I actually was talking to my travel buddies, and we're gonna do Grayton. We're gonna go out there. That's for anybody who hasn't been to California and wants to see California. That property is absolutely beautiful. It's very close to Napa Valley. There's things to go do. You could go drive. You're about a 40-minute drive from the casino to the coast, where you can just go down towards the ocean and just, we'll go out there, meditate, just enjoy the fresh sea breeze. Like for me, like going to casinos, the ones I choose these days are ones that I could just enjoy the atmosphere. And we're going to do that. And then I'm going with me and the wife are going with the Lowrys from there to Lake Tahoe for the WSOP circuit event there. I've actually never been to Lake Tahoe circuit. I've been to Lake Tahoe for, you know, uh, a winter season trip with the family or that kind of thing, but never been there for the poker. So it'll be pretty fun to be right on the lake there. And I don't know, it might be too
So
cold for golf,
beautiful.
but I was thinking about bringing the golf clubs.
Oh, you're so
Yeah.
funny. What month are they doing it?
Um, the end of October is Grayton for the Run Good, and then the beginning of November is the Lake Tahoe. And then
Okay,
after that, we don't miss our Cherokee.
Harris,
We'll be in Cherokee.
Cherokee.
And there's a chance from Cherokee we make it to the Wynn to go play the 10K there, but I don't know. It's just such a bad time frame. I'd rather just be home in Atlanta with the family, be there for Christmas, all that good stuff.
I hear you. Well, my son Ed's hoping you're going to have some free time for pickle when you're in town because you guys didn't get to
Yeah,
play
we should
because
be
of
able to figure
weather.
something out in October, I think. Before I go to Grayton, I should be there for probably
Perfect.
2 weeks. I actually just
Perfect.
bought tickets from one of our poker buddies. His I bought his postseason tickets for the Braves or whatever. So gonna go to as many of those postseason games with the family. Have have four
Sweet.
tickets for almost every game, so we gotta go and enjoy some of that.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, my hope is that the Dodgers trounce on those Atlanta Braves like really badly. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll see.
I,
The
I like one
Dodgers need to
Dodger.
stop getting their pitchers in trouble.
Aces up
Which,
is giving you a thumbs down on the Dodgers.
oh, no. What's up with that? Which Dodger do you
Oh,
like?
Freddie Freeman. He'll always be a Brave.
Like, how
Amen.
can you not like that
Yeah.
guy? Like, he's just such a solid guy. I mean, just a great player and great person and everything. Just tell, like, you like these people, like, you can tell which ones are just, I don't know. I just had a good feeling about him. I think I think poker gives that to you a little bit, as you start to really, really have a second sense for people sometimes. But yeah, I liked him from the very beginning. What's the one thing you would change about poker if you could?
If I could change anything with poker, um, recreationals might not like what I say, but at the end of the day, it'll be better for them and everybody. But get rid of all these chips they give us in these tournaments. Go back to how it used to be, where you got the amount of chips you paid for in a buy-in, or and just had the 25-25 blind levels. Like the having all this play in the beginning of tournaments, and you go. People need to be playing for their stacks early, because then at the end of the tournament, when we're playing for all the money, there'll be we'll be deeper and have more opportunities to dodge the coolers and different things. Like live poker is just the structures of them have just developed to cater into people wanting to play and have a lot of play in the beginning, and then they don't really care about the play at the end because a lot of people aren't there. And it just sort of, with the amount of rake that these casinos are charging, and it just makes it hard for the bottom line for a lot of the professionals to really, it's not just professionals, it's hard for recreational people to do it. I mean, I know a lot of the circuit regs that are on the recreational side. I mean, they're finally seeing it, after a few years, that the more chips is not better, it's actually worse.
Yeah, I have a GTO question for you.
All right.
Let me run this scenario by you. It's your first main event, okay? And you're all in pre-flop. You got ace king, and you're like, wait, you're all in, so where's the GTO? You got ace king, you short, you jam, get called off by queens. The flop comes like all low cards, right? And the turn is a king, and you hear your dad from the rail
Poor
yell,
dad.
yes. Now, when that queen hits the river, how long should the ban from the World Series of Poker be?
For your daddy. For your daddy.
see, my whole thing with the whole topic of this is, it's the negative thought process. It's not, we lose those situations. It was a flip. It was a
Yeah,
very entertaining flip. Like when you prefer to have a more entertaining flip, then it just be, you know, the guy
that's
flops
true.
quads, and
And you're just buried. That's the
I
worst.
mean, last night I got three-handed in the circuit event online on WSOP.com, and I got the good old aces, and the guy cracked my aces with five deuce suited. Like, it's
Ugh,
just part of the game.
Gross, three-handed.
so nasty.
I'll never forget. I had one time. This isn't a bad beat story because
It
I don't
better
believe
not
in
be a
this.
bad beat story.
No,
We
it's
don't do
not.
bad beat stories.
It's not. But well, I guess it kind of is. But I don't know. I don't. I'm not sitting here whining. Like the guy hit two percenters in a row on me, at like leading into the final table like that. It was so crazy. I'm like, how does that happen twice in a row? It's like just gross. He had to go runner on the turn in river.
I
Yeah, I think I flopped a set, and he like had to go runner straight or flush. It was so sick.
I gotta
It
find
was
this
like,
video to share with Sherry so she could share it with you guys. I don't know how to share it off of Facebook, so I'm gonna send it to her on Facebook Messenger. But when
Okay.
it comes to like these different, it was one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. It was just talking about the odds of how many different ways you could deal a deck of cards and different things. Just like someone who thinks about things to the two percenters and all that kind of stuff. This video is just mind blowing.
I think that's one of the problems, like for new people, is they don't realize, like, even like aces against whatever, like it's just not like an unheard of thing for aces to get cracked, like percentage wise it's gonna happen.
100%.
you know
The thing about like
I mean,
pocket aces is you're usually gonna win a small pot, or lose a big one. That's like a general rule of thumb for it. Like the thing about two aces, like people fail to forget. Yeah, we have the best hand in poker, but how many times do you sit down at a UTH table or something like that, and there's four people dealt, and aces the only hand that's losing and stuff like that? Like when you play a hand with four different people, aces don't win more than probably 30% of the time. Like it
Right.
the game's sort of gross. Like the idea with aces, you want to probably get heads up, so then you have a better chance of winning. I don't know. Poker is all about math, and the thing people fail to forget is when they have the best hand, why someone has one of these hands, and it's probably because they gave them a good price to be there, and or someone just gambles, and it's okay to have someone gamble. It's their money. Let them do what they want to do.
Donna, go ahead.
Okay, Chris, how addicted to spaces are you? And who's your favourite character or person on Spaces?
I was in this. I think I'm in more into spaces when I'm playing live. It's something to listen to or whatever, and I'll never be a speaker, and I'll just listen. And or like the space. The one thing that I liked about spaces, you get to catch up on what's going on. The thing I disliked about spaces is there's too much drama, and I'm not the drama queen kind of person that's up in everyone else's business kind of thing. The personality that I like, man, I don't really. I don't think I have any favorite personality on there because the ones that are always the most entertaining ones are the toxic ones, and I don't really enjoy that either. So I don't I
It's
don't know
true.
how to answer that fairly.
It's true.
Well, thank you for answering the question anyway. It means a lot.
My favorite one with an English accent is Donna.
Thank you, Brian. I love you too.
And Abby's here. She's gonna come. We're gonna come see you in December.
Yeah, we'll be
That's
in the
awesome.
Donna's coming.
Banana.
Donna's coming over to the WPT in December. So if you're there, Chris, we'll invite you to some of our stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, we might make it out there. Like I don't know, it's sort of just like in the middle of Cherokee, and Cherokee's just so much closer to Atlanta. I could drive there. It's so much more beautiful than Las Vegas.
I agree.
Yeah,
Believe
but
me.
what's the guarantee again? 50 million or something
Yeah,
insane?
it's big. And the other thing that I got going for me that isn't talked about is I have a lot of reasons to go to the Bahamas, whatever. I work with GG, and it it's
Yeah.
it's not it's better business for me to go there than to WPT. But my wife won't be allowed to travel outside the U.S. for the next year and a half or so, so it's less likely I go to one of those kind of stops that are outside the country or whatever.
Why won't she be able to travel?
We just submitted all the stuff we needed to do for her green card.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't mean to. I shouldn't have asked you on air,
Oh
probably,
no,
but
it's fine.
it's only because I know her. So I was like, wait,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on?
She's from Czech Republic. The process in the country of the United
Yep,
States of America, it's easier to walk across the border illegally and get citizenship than it is to marry someone and do it the right way.
I
So
hear you.
I have a friend. He was told that his wife was here illegally, and she she was told that to get it all taken care of, she had to go back to her home country. And I said, well, what do you do there? They said, well, you meet with a magistrate. I said, you mean a judge? They go, yeah. So I said, well, then you need an attorney, right? So they said, no, it's just a formality kind of thing. So they went down there, and the judge asks her, hey, once you came across the border, did you ever go back? She said, well, yeah, my dad died, and so I went back. And he said, now, after that, you came back into the United States, right? She said, yes. He said, that's two felonies. Come back in 10 years and see me. And she was like barred from the United States. I'm like,
Ouch.
why would you not do that with an attorney?
Yep.
Oh,
foreseen you being asked that question, you know?
And that's the other sad thing about it is you do need an attorney to do it all, but like the attorneys, it
Crazy.
costs like $5,000 to $10,000, and then you have all these different fees you pay the government. I mean, I understand there's people that do it the wrong way, and they're the reasons, we have to do all the different screenings and whatnot we got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but man, it it's a headache. It doesn't make me proud to want to live in America. Like we've lived in Mexico for 3 years, and she's happy to just go back to Mexico and never get her green
Yeah.
card. Like she's nervous and concerned about staying here for 18
Nah,
months
she'll be
without
okay.
leaving. Her mom just got
It,
denied
it
her
is.
visa so she's not going to be able to see her mom for a year and a half. And,
Well, you just have to bring her mom over here,
well, that's what I
Chris.
just said. She just got denied her visa, so that's not possible.
Well, can she
Yeah.
go to Canada?
Cat can't leave the U.S. Canada is actually the toughest country to get visas for. Like we've tried to do an Alaska cruise from Seattle to Anchorage that stops one day in British Columbia, and we
Right.
tried to do that the last 2 summers, and we've failed to get Cat a visa for Canada each time.
So,
Well, we're just going to have to get
I'm
that
going to
green
help you.
card.
Maybe I'll help you out. I don't know. After the 2016 World Series, I decided I'm not going to let the United States tell me I can't play. So I wanted to go play overseas and that kind of thing, or somewhere. And I went through a company called Poker Refugees. Literally, have you heard of
Yeah,
them?
there was someone that worked for them in Rosarito back in 2012, 2013 is when I first moved to Mexico to play online pokers. They were helping a lot of people get set up. My
Yeah,
friend Marty Mathis used it. Fortunately for me, all my friends have already lived there for 2 years, so I never needed to do anything. I actually had to do one thing with them. They had to make me some kind of fake lease or something to, like in Mexico, like you submit your real lease to these poker sites, they don't
right.
accept it. But if you make a fake one, they accept it. It's the weirdest thing, yeah. I went and got it. I went and got a fake lease notarized in Mexico to get approved than using the real one.
That's crazy.
Insane. Absolutely insane. And I'd like to say I don't believe it, but I believe it
Yeah.
100%.
Now, the thing that's scary to me is the online poker. Like, we came to New Jersey, and regulated poker is worse than unregulated poker. I had my horses. They filled out everything they needed to do. They did it in Florida before they came up here. Had all their accounts set up. They emailed them, and I said, make sure that you're good to go, and take a screenshot of that email because they made me go through a 3-day period where I'm just sitting here waiting for them because their support's just very slow and not very good. And
Right.
the first one comes here, he has problems, and it only took him 24 to 36 hours to get everything set up. And then I warned the other one who's coming 2 days later. I was like, look, make sure. So he emailed him again. He said, nope, you're good. You're 100% good. Once you get there, you can load money and start playing. 48 hours later after he got here, he was good. But it's just crazy how the support for those sites are just so bad. And I got lucky to get put in a Discord group where there's a guy that works for the BetMGM that is very responsive. He's very helpful, but the Poker Stars in New Jersey and the WSOP in New Jersey, like it just, I don't know. All of our accounts got frozen with WSOP because they didn't care about us playing from the same IP until, I had a 5-figure score yesterday. They don't care about things and do security checks until you win a certain amount of money. So
Yeah, I don't like how some of these sites will have the inactive thing and then take your money or that kind of thing. I don't know
yeah,
about GG or what they do, but I know World Series WSOP, they'll you know,
Those things are
I don't know.
terrible.
Something happened to my, yeah.
I
I think it's kind of predatory in a way because you've got people there for a year or something like, you got people there for the summer and then they go away, and if they don't play the next year or whatever, or don't whatever, then they don't, not everybody's on their email like that,
Nope,
Uh,
100%. I'm one of the worst at emails, and I've got to the practice where every day I delete all the spam emails, try to unsubscribe like once a week, or whatever, so I could check my emails more often.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I would suggest, Chris. Next summer, when you're at the WSOP, um, by the window um, where you can go to put money on an online account or withdraw from an online account, they usually have a guy uh, or a lady, a representative from WSOP Online. I would stop at that little desk and get somebody's name and phone number so you have a direct line to a
But
representative that you can
those
call.
people leave that job so frequently, though. Like, that's the problem. Like, it's not like a constant person that's just there helping. And
Gotcha.
but yeah, the during the summer it's a lot better because there is customer service. Here in New Jersey, we could go deposit. I could deposit at Caesars for WSOP.com, but those people are clueless. They don't. They're just taking your money
Yeah.
and entering it.
Yeah.
The
They're just a cage
Can you
person.
imagine a recreational poker player? This is what happened to me with Poker Stars here. I went and took $5,000 and taken it to, I think it's called Resorts, and I went there, deposited. They gave me this receipt, and 24 hours later, I don't have the money on there. And I have like a very good friend that works for Poker Stars USA, so I kept messaging him. He eventually sent it to one of his colleagues who emailed me. They forwarded it to another email. I didn't get a response from this email until 48 hours after the email. This is 3 days later. I deposited $5,000. I still haven't received it. The
Wow.
fourth day, I still haven't got the money, and not getting anywhere with PokerStars support. They're telling me they need something better than this receipt. They need my e-wallet receipt. I was like, what e-wallet receipt do you want for cash money? Like, this is what they gave me. So I went back to the casino, and it all came down to the lady at the casino. She forgot to hit the credit button, so my money just disappeared. But they found the mistake, and then they were able to give me my money back or whatever. But like, stuff like that, just not good for regulated online pokers. Like, if I go through so much problems like that, what's going to make a recreational player feel safe to play on a site like that?
Give me a Cy Scheinberg back, running out of wherever the hell he wants to run the company, and I'll take that any day over any regulated thing, because those guys took care of their customers, and in the end they were the. I mean, like, it's unbelievable that of all the people, right? Like that Poker Stars was the one that they kept out for so long, and they let these other people start up brand new stuff, and it's just like unbelievable. I wish that I really think he belongs in the Hall of Fame, honestly. And I think it's a massive oversight not to let that. He probably doesn't care. I don't even know, but I just think the company was so well ran back in the day. And I mean, just from my perspective, like, as a player, I was not like the big, huge player or whatever. I won a couple seats to the main event. That was probably, the biggest thing that I did on there, and whatever. But when we showed up at the World Series, man, like, they took care of you. Like, it was just super nice.
No.
And I never had a problem with deposits on there. I never felt like I was getting cheated. I'll tell you, on Ultimate Bet, like, I could not, I, Ultimate Bet and Full Tilt, like, I don't know what went on with Full Tilt. Maybe it's just the style of play or whatever wasn't conducive to how I played. but ultimate bet I could not win on, like could not win. And always felt like Poker Stars was the thing, and I think Asai was the key to that. So anyway.
No, what PokerStars
Uh,
did back in the day, it helped develop poker to where it's at. It wasn't just moneymaker. What PokerStars did, poker wouldn't be where it's at without that. And that's why I took my job with GG, because I think they're better than PokerStars and will be. I think this year at the World Series they had 900 players or something that were won seats to play, and I think they're just the future of
Well,
everything.
and that's the big thing, right? I mean, everybody talks about the poker boom. The poker boom, the second poker boom, is being caused simply because all of these online qualifiers have finally returned to these fields, and that's great. I mean, it's good for the game for
Yep.
sure.
Online
um,
poker is needed for poker to keep continuing, because America is behind in poker. We're the fish at the end of the day. We have more of all the Europeans want to move to America to play because we don't play as well and we have money. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't have the online poker that the rest of the world has. And it's shameful that our country's all about the money, but yet they can't find a way to allow just regulate all these sites. It is what it is.
Well, all
well,
about
and
the
let's not forget we're mighty bigger.
Yeah.
well,
We're way bigger than some of these
Oh,
countries.
we're
So
massive.
it's
We're the size of Europe. Yeah.
and we're the land of the free, where you can't do something in your own home with your own money. Like, it's just unbelievably absurd that our 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 government is the way that it is. That whether you're left or right or whatever, I don't care. Like, the fact that it hasn't happened yet is absurd. The fact that in 2005 we were sitting there with worldwide player pools, and now we've got this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, when I went out of the country to play on Poker Stars, I was shocked. It was a completely different thing. Like, I was right around the time they started the spin and goes. I don't know if they're still
Oh
doing
yeah.
that,
Those
but
things are huge.
like, yeah, but like, it was much more um, gambly feeling, and I don't know. It just was a completely different thing than it was pre Black Friday.
Yeah,
So
that's like the number one question I would get from people while I lived in Mexico. Oh, how's Poker Stars? I'm so jealous you get to play Poker Stars. You know what? I lived 3 years in Mexico and I probably played less than 50 tournaments on Poker Stars. And I probably play close to 50 tournaments a day in a usual online day. Like, Poker Stars, it's not worth opening for me. Like, you need like Poker Stars to run these series they run for you to do it. But even these series that are going on, all the fields are 1/3 of what they used to be, because they
yeah, it's
they lost
crazy.
their clientele, and then a lot of the professionals don't want to necessarily play because there's just not that many bad players. It's mostly just a bunch of better players that are playing on there.
Trading stuff around. The thing I was tripped out about is, so I think it was like 2016 or so when I did all this, maybe 2017. So it had been like 7 years since Black Friday, and there was a few times throughout those years that I would log into my account as the Play Money account, and my avatar was always gone. So I was like unbelievably, like, probably a little bit embarrassingly emotional when my avatar like popped up like from 2010. I was freaking out. I have a funny story about that. Kevin Saul.
Yeah,
So Kevin Saw's in line with me at the World Series, and we're just talking, and obviously we had played together online some and whatever, but I didn't figure he knew who I was or whatever. So he's like, "What's your online name?" I said, "My online name's Software Test." He's like, "Oh, I know you. You sucked. You suck." And I was like, "F you, buddy," right? And I'm thinking he's totally totally like busting my chops. He goes, "No, Scooby Doo Avatar, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
I love it.
So funny.
I'm going to do a little housekeeping for a moment, please. Just a word about our sponsor, Elevated Results, whose purpose is to provide a service to help people reach their desired fitness goals. Elevated Results. And I wanted to pivot for a second. We lost a great poker mind as well as an amazing man this year, Doyle Brunson. Did you have a opportunity to play with Doyle at all?
Yeah, like back in the day, when I first started going to the World Series, like I was pretty lucky to play with my first ever table was with Phil Ivey, but Doyle Brunson, I played with him a few times that summer. My first main event, I was sat right next to Doyle Brunson.
Do you have any stories you'd like to share?
I don't necessarily have any good story of Doyle. He had all the stories. That's what all he would do at a poker table is tell you different stories of all of his days. Uh,
That's amazing.
my best story with Doyle would probably be like one of my better mixed game poker friends is known as Angry John Monet, and there's multiple times I'd come sweat him in Doyle's room or somewhere in one of the high stakes rooms, whether it was Aria, the Bellagio, and Doyle was usually in the game, and he would just John would always tell me how Doyle was always the brightest person or whatever, and in those games, even till the end or whatever, he was just one of the smartest people all the time. He was never the fish in those games. But one day I went in there, and I guess John was up a couple houses, and Doyle goes, "John, give him one of your houses so he can sit down. You got to give some rake back to the game."
I love it.
But yeah,
I love it. He is missed for sure.
but yeah.
Donna, did you have any more questions?
No, I just want to say thank you, Chris, for answering my questions. It's 2 a.m. and I'm starting to get a headache, so I
You
will
go
just
to
say
sleep.
thank you very much, and I will speak to you all soon.
Thanks,
And good
lovely.
luck, Chris.
All right, you have a good night, Donald.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Anybody else that's listening, if you have any questions or comments for Chris, please request a microphone. We'll be happy to accept your request. It's just easier to do that than us sending a request. So, Chris, I know you love Cherokee, North Carolina. Do you have any other poker room around the world or poker series you enjoy going to?
I don't really know. I I'm probably gonna end up moving to Jacksonville, Florida at some point. It's sort of I've always just liked the poker room, I suppose. There, they don't really have any amazing series. They got WPT there on occasions, but they just have like some monthly tournaments. But it's more of that. It's close to Tallahassee, so I could go to Florida State whenever I like. It's close to South Florida. It's close to Atlanta. As favorite poker room, it's probably there. I mean, I like the food there. I don't know.
I love Best
Yeah.
Bet. He's referring to Best Bet in Jacksonville, Florida. And I really love that room. And it is a great location. You'll be able to get cheap flights out of there. You have both of the Hard Rocks you can go to. You can even take the train, I think, from Jacksonville down to Miami. If you didn't want to drive, you could take the train. Um, and you are close to your family in Atlanta and those crazy Seminoles that you've been brainwashed into cheering
Yeah.
for.
I wish
But
you guys
I
could have
do.
taken care of the Gators, but that didn't happen.
You and me both. How embarrassing was
It
that game for us?
was very embarrassing.
Honestly, it was so bad. I even went to sleep. I was like, I can't watch. I couldn't watch anymore. I was like so heartbroken. I was like, I'm just going to sleep. I can't watch
That was
anymore.
my
They're making
biggest
me
sports bet
crazy.
of the year so far. I had $5,000 on the Gators in that game, and
Well, you're welcome.
yeah, it it's like that bet was. It's like sort of like Clemson tomorrow. Clemson is probably the good bet, and there's no way I'm going to be betting that. I was strongly
I was going to say,
considering.
there's no way you're betting against your team.
No, I'm actually one of those people that do bet against my team a lot, but I have a very large degenerate bet I made in Vegas, and it's with the Braves to win the World Series and FSU to win the national championship. A nice little parlay that will be a nice six-figure payday if it comes in, and the Braves are off to a great start. And FSU took care of the most important game of their schedule to have an opportunity. So it's gonna be a fun. It's
Hey,
gonna be a fun
crazier
swap.
things have
Yeah.
happened.
No,
I mean,
I don't like
honestly,
to degenerate. So that's sort of you make a long-term bet like that, and then you get to sweat it for the whole season, or you get to lose the bet in 1 week and it's over.
I hear you. Well, Aces Up came up. I'm assuming you have a question or comment, so go right
Yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna ask, are you into? I know you're into FSU. Are you into any like professional teams?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up half my life in South Florida and half of my life in Atlanta. So I grew up being a big Dolphins fan, but lived the second half of my life in Atlanta and sort of overturned to more of a Falcons fan just because it's been painful since Dan Marino days that the Falcons have never found a quarterback, and I sadly still don't think Tua is the answer down there. But
Let's go. I'm a big Falcons and Braves fan. Let's go.
yeah, no, that's what I was talking about earlier. I got from one of my poker buddies. I bought his postseason tickets or whatever. So between my family and sister and her family and my parents, we have 4 tickets for every one of the games at cost or whatever. The tickets for the World Series are like $1,500 at cost. I never realized how expensive they were. I just knew on StubHub, when I spend $3,500, it felt like a lot. I was like, well, that's just what the cost is, to pay the premiums to get in that kind of stuff. And then when the tickets are really $1,500 at cost, then it makes StubHub not feel as bad.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they'll, depending on the opponent, they'll probably skyrocket from there.
Yep. No, I'm excited for it, and I'm hoping the Braves get to play the Dodgers in the NCLS, and I could get my friend Ingrid John to Atlanta and go to a game with him.
Yeah, I kind of like the sound of that, but I kind of don't.
Yeah,
Let's go
it's a
Braves.
scary sound, but I rather have the game against the team like that than not. But the other team that's scary to pay attention to is the Phillies.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember what the
There's no
Phillies did a few
sleepers on
years
them.
ago. They sort of just snuck in there and then went all the way there. So
And we've kind of stayed hot all year, so it's you know the inevitable may happen. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
yeah. It'll come down to the pitch, and I think the bats will be there for the most part. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun sweat regardless.
For
The
sure, I
Fal-
enjoy that.
the Falcons are still overrated, unfortunately. We need a quarterback there.
Yeah, yeah. Next year will be a good year to get one. I really like that new running back though. He looks good,
It, I'm
Bijan.
I'm impressed how good he is with how terrible our offense. It's amazing how much money we spend on a tight end that we don't even throw the ball to.
Yeah, I think we'll eventually get around to utilizing Pitts a little more, but he's getting covered up a lot too. We'll,
Yeah,
the more we use our other receivers, the more he'll open up, I think. But I appreciate you answering that. Thank you.
no problem.
Thank you, Aces Up. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Chris or anybody else? Hit that request button. We'll be happy to entertain them. Chris, how soon can I be a poker auntie? Like, are we working on that, practicing, or what?
Yeah, I mean that's something we've been wanting to do, and then we get distracted with other things.
It's easy. Life gets in the way of life sometimes, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
it?
I mean, our like being here, we don't go to bed till 4 or 5 in the morning. Like just
Right.
it's hard to at that point. It's like okay,
Yeah, and if you think she needs 8 hours now,
oh,
she's going to need
that
12
that,
then.
and I also think that's sort of a thing that she's holding out on on it because she's not ready to give up chasing her dreams of playing poker and doing all
Of,
that kind of stuff.
of course.
But
Of
we're also
course.
not getting younger, so that has to happen sooner than later, or it's, yeah.
Well, now that she's stuck within the borders for 18 months, maybe now's the time. But you didn't hear that from
Yeah.
me.
Don't worry. My mom tells both of us every day that. So
Well, I'm just going to let a little secret out since there's only 9 of us here, but y'all have to keep it a secret because it hasn't been publicly announced. But I'm going to be a grandmother.
congratulations. That you're not going to have
Thanks.
time to play poker anymore.
Well, she lives in Washington State. I live in Atlanta. So,
Yeah, you'll be in Washington State a lot more.
well, yeah, this is true. And there's a poker room like 10 minutes from there. So I would be okay with that.
Some,
The
something to
question's
know
going to
there
be
is you
is
can't play online poker there. It's illegal.
I know. When I used to do the radio show, uh, I couldn't even do our game there. I would just be able to do the show, but not play our game when we did the radio
Yeah,
show. It was
it is
insane.
insane. I've heard of people getting arrested from playing online poker there.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
That they'll arrest you for seeing your own shadow in Washington State. That's illegal too
Yeah.
there. Um, I say that facetiously, but yeah. So we're excited about that, and we everyone that heard that news needs to keep that under their hats because she just hasn't announced it yet. But anyway, we're excited. That's for sure. Go ahead, Brian. Turn that microphone on, Brian. Uh oh.
Sorry about that. You guys cut out there for a minute.
No worries. Go ahead, bud.
So, so as far as what's up next for you, what are you actually? We didn't really talk about this. You do a lot of online, mostly tournaments, right? Are you doing any cash? You play
I've
any
been
cash
playing
games?
a lot of cash in these on the regulated sites here in New Jersey. Um, the problem with the cash games is I'm in like one of their Discord groups. They're very predatory. Like me being a new player who's not played on some of these sites, I sit down at a 5-10 or 10-20 cash game, the table fills up and it's all regs. But you know what? I'll go battle them. They're gonna think I'm a fish. I'm gonna be the one that's coming in with some extra bets, and they're gonna fold a little bit until they figure things out. And I, I
Yeah.
joke with one of my buddies who works for PokerStars USA. I was like, you guys should pay me to start your tables and get the rake going in these games because everybody sits me when I sit.
That's funny.
But that's the problem with most online cash games. It's just so all the professionals, they're just bum hunting people, and yeah, playing anything higher than 255, it's pretty much all regs on there. And when there's a full table, that means there's one fish in the game. Yeah,
And
but yeah,
it
mostly tournaments.
sounds like the time I walked into Bellagio and I see Jen Harmon at a table and playing one guy, and then 5 minutes later, all these people that you see on TV filling around her.
Well, I mean, that's sadly what poker's turned into, and I think the cash game players, if they want to play poker for a while for a living, they got to look at the long term things, and I don't know, they got to come up with some kind of rule where maybe only three of the regs could sit at a six max table, and leave the seats open for some of the other recreationals to get in there, and maybe they sit down at another table. But the problem is I'll screw around with them, and I made like a video for some of my friends where I'll sit down and within 30 seconds it's a full ring, and I'll click the button, wait for big blind, and let them play against each other, and then I'll just click the sit out button and never sit in and make them play, and then an orbit or two later they're all sitting out waiting.
What's your
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll just troll. I'll
What's
just
your
troll them, just knowing that's what they're doing.
What's your thoughts on like the semi-private game kind of thing that goes on these days?
I I think it's probably a good thing compared to what I'm seeing, with these online sites, because it's better to have like a set lineup. If the recreational fish players are willing to go play in that game, like they know they're gonna be playing with the same people. I don't think it's a bad thing. I originally was probably anti that, but the things that I see with the bum hunting of the other sorts, the people just don't care about the bum hunting, and at least a private game is gonna the recreational players are gonna be a lot happier, and I think that's the bottom line.
Okay, I've got a question. If you don't want to answer it, it's okay. Some people don't mind answering it, some do. So, what is um, the most bullets you've bought into a live tournament?
Live tournament, well, that's a lot easier than online. Live tournament, are we count? Are we counting like a multi-flight tournament or like a single flight kind of tournament?
Just a single flight, I
I
would
don't think
say.
I've done anything too crazy. Um, I'm sure I've probably done one for like 5 bullets, but I would say nowadays, like I generally have a rule that like for these circuit events, if I'm to bust, I'm probably not gonna rebuy until the very last second, since they let you rebuy in forever, or I have more than
Right.
probably 30 big blinds. Like
Okay. And what about online now that you brought it up?
on, online, I've been in tournaments for 11, 12 bullets. Like it's so much easier to do it online, but the buy-ins are also a lot smaller. And
Right.
you know,
Right.
yesterday there was a $500 tournament, and at some point, PokerStars is really generous, and after 4 or 5 bullets, they tell you don't have any more entries, so they cap you off. You know, you,
Oh,
they don't let you get in for too many.
I kind of like that theory.
No, I'm a big
Um,
fan of freeze out tournaments. Like I would prefer just freeze out tournaments, but I mean, it's in my best interest to keep playing a tournament. If there's good value, I'm going to keep re-entering.
right. I certainly see the value in reentry. But for me, and you may have heard me say this when you used to listen to me back in the day on the radio, on the radio, excuse me, is my theory is if I need more than two bullets, then I should be at a practice table instead of a poker table. Then I'm not doing something right. Now, that doesn't mean I don't see the value in, hey, sometimes you just got to go for it because the spot's too big. And, I see other reasons why. So, um, and sometimes the prize pool is just too good not to go for it, right? So there's plenty of reasons why. But for me, I've only ever done two bullets. And I think I've probably done that less than a handful of times.
Yeah, like you see me in Cherokee, you won't see me in many of those tournaments for more than 2 bullets. The you know the turn There'll be like tournaments like the reentry that I'll fire more. The main event I won't. The main event I usually will be conservative on, if it's 2 flights, conservative on Friday, maybe just fire one. But if I busted right away, then probably fire another. And then Saturday
Right.
with the bigger field, I would tend to play the maximum amount of bullets. Like I think there's in live tournaments, the bigger the fields are, if there's multi flights, like you want to play in the bigger flight because you have a better ability to, accumulate a bigger stack, and a bigger stack, you're going to make more money. So,
Right on. Right on. Well, Brian, do you have any more questions?
I don't know.
I don't either. So we're going to let you get back to your business of playing online. We appreciate you being with us tonight. Always a pleasure,
yeah,
Chris.
absolutely. Thanks for
I
having me.
hope our paths cross soon. Tell your beautiful wife I said hey.
Yeah, I got to go get her off of a slot machine now somewhere.
Uh oh. What's she playing? Buffalo.
She's anti-buffalo these days. We don't run well on buffalo, so she's more into there's a piggy machine that she hunts down. She doesn't
Oh, the
she doesn't like
piggies.
ham and bacon, but man, she loves her piggy slots.
I love it. And I kind of agree with her. I'm not a big Buffalo fan. I do like that one that you and I played in Cherokee. I do that like that machine, but I've never been a big winner on the Buffalo machine. So I'm kind of with you guys with her on that one. But again, we appreciate you and everybody that joined us tonight. Brian, thank you too.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry, and thank you, Chris.
Good night,
All right,
everybody.
thanks guys.
Good
Good
night.
night. We'll chat later.